Hey everyone, this is Scott from Forgot to Grow Up. Welcome to our Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7 Episode 4 Thoughts video. I just finished watching the latest episode of The Clone Wars on Disney Plus, and I'm just going to share my general thoughts about this latest episode. In this episode, we see the team is going on a very risky mission that's been suggested by Echo, and they don't know if they can fully trust him or not throughout this whole episode. So this episode was really fun because it kind of was wrapping up this arc we've gotten of the rescue and now the kind of like just the rescue of, or the rescue and recovery of Echo, who has been under, has been a prisoner of the Separatists for so many years. And so this episode, like I said, was fun because it was a good conclusion to it. Not as much happened, like kind of story progression wise, because like I said, it kind of seems at least to me that this is the end of this first story arc with us following Echo and then kind of ending off with this episode. But it was still fun. It had a lot of fun little action scenes, seeing Clone Force 99 or the Bad Batch in action again, which I really enjoyed. This first this what seems like the first arc which they tend to do, of grouping a few episodes together to follow a certain story in the Clone Wars. So it seems like this one was kind of the Bad Batch and Echo, and again, spoilers for this episode, we see it ends off with Echo joining the Bad Batch and them going off. So that was a fun little way to kind of make our way through this episode, especially since we start the episode off with the Bad Batch in particular really not trusting Echo, because they're like, well, we don't know, man, your head's been plugged into the Separatists for a bunch of years, how do we know we can trust you? And Rex obviously trusts him. So it was kind of fun to see this through this episode, Echo able to build the trust with the Bad Batch and also build this kind of comfortableness that he's felt that that's where he belongs at the end of this, and that's where he's going to join. It kind of makes sense after the things he went through. He's not, as the Bad Batch put it, he's not one of the regs anymore. So yeah, this episode was kind of fun to be able to explore through these things. It was kind of great to see this kind of conclusion, I guess, to Admiral Trench's story in the Clone Wars. He's been one of my favorite villains introduced by the Clone Wars. Probably my favorite, specific to the Clone Wars villain, just because I really liked the character design. I like a big spider because it freaks me out, but I like that it's a cartoon and it's kind of just a cool, clever design, like how they play around with the little fun things. Like in this episode, at one point, he shoots out he has this little gun that drops out of his wrist that shoots a electric net or web, and so I just like that little bit of a gag to have with it, the gimmick of he's a spider, humanoid thing, and seeing how they play with that a little bit. And then the fact that he's just been this kind of very masterful tactician who they've had to go up against, and he's not like our Dooku's and our other villains we get, who they physically are a match for Anakin or Obi-Wan or in the Jedi, and that, as opposed to his where he specializes is strategy. So he's been a really fun character of mine. It was I don't want to say a fitting ending, but it was an interesting ending, at least interesting that we at least got an ending, I should say. I wasn't sure if they were going to leave that ambiguous, but I feel like a couple of the Clone Wars characters are going to get kind of, I don't want to say killed off, but kind of their stories ended in a way so that there's no more of this where were they during the original series, ... So, but even though there's a big gap in between the prequels and that, but that's not the point. So that was just, overall, I just enjoyed this episode for kind of a lot of kind of resolution that we got, or not a lot, but a little bit of the resolution we got with the Echo's story, and along with Admiral Trench, and we see when Anakin's threatening Admiral Trench, he even called Trench just you're not gonna kill me, you're a Jedi, you guys have this and that, and Anakin just I don't have those chops off a couple of his arms, and then just I don't have those weaknesses, and you're like, oh snap, there's a little bit of that Vader we go see in a couple years or in another couple months story wise, and so that was just a fun little bit to see a kind of the fact that it does end up being Anakin to end Admiral Trench's story, but also kind of just seeing that those glimpses that the Clone Wars has always done a great job of doing, being able to add those little bits of the oh, you see where it's starting to crack through. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. The cracks in where the dark side's kind of shining through, or not shining through, on Anakin, and so that was a kind of fun little scene to see, and it's just as simple as one little line at him, killing Admiral Trench, but that was still just an interesting thing again, because I like the way they keep adding to his character, or giving us more, letting us explore more Anakin's character and what led him to, the dark side, or being so susceptible to falling to the dark side, I should say. But yeah, overall, just like I said, I've really enjoyed this episode. It was a fun little kind of conclusion to this first arc, and I'm curious to see where we're going to go from here. It does seem like the Bad Batch is done. They're off. I don't think we're going to be having another kind of anymore. They might come in for maybe like a quick thing, but I feel like that story's done. We're going to be moving on to another one, maybe a little bit more focused around Anakin and Padme. I remember seeing some of that in the trailers, but I'll have to wait till next week to find out. But yes, that's all my thoughts on this latest episode. Thanks again for joining me. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and have a good one.